welcome to episode 3 of Around the Wicket, where we will be previewing the upcoming World Cup tournament. First up, we'll go into our squad that we've taken over. So it consists of the captain, Aaron Finch, Ashton Agar, vice-captain, Patrick Cummins, Josh Hazelwood, Josh Inglis is obviously the keeper, Mitchell Marsh, Glenn Maxwell, Kane Richardson, Steve Smith, Mitchell Stark, Marcus Stoinis, Mitchell Swepson, Matthew Wade, obviously another keeper there, David Warner, and of course Adam Zampa. We also have the following reserve players: Aiden's mate Dan Christian, Nathan Ellis, and Daniel Sams. Beautiful. All right, so I will go to Jack first. So who is the biggest threat to the Aussies in Group 1? The teams in our pool are England, South Africa, and of course the West Indies at this stage.
Biggest threat? You haven't even named them. Obviously the qualifiers that are yet to be determined. They're obviously our biggest threat. No, I think out of those three, probably the West Indies, just with their T20 experience from all over the planet, big names. Obviously, a lot of them are older guys like Gale and Pollard. But I still think their T20 experience is probably a bit too strong for us. And then England and South Africa, they're probably around about the same as us. So, yeah, probably the West Indies for me.
Yes, it is. No worries. Aiden, what do you have for us, mate?
Yeah, obviously, you do got to respect the qualifying countries. They're always part of it. Not saying that they are going to overtake us, but they will be a part of the pool or the group. But yeah, as Speech said, I think the West Indies, obviously having most of their team, nearly all of their team, literally just make their living off travelling summer to summer and playing 2020s all year. I think that's a massive advantage for them. They're going to be obviously the most well prepared. They won it last time. So obviously we'll have heaps of confidence. They do have a few old fellas in there. Chris Gale's going around again, which, I mean, could be dangerous for us the way we go sometimes. But I think they're, in terms of most dangerous, you would put them up there. Although I think England always come into World Cup tournaments, no matter what format, with heaps of confidence. Every time we play them, it's close. It's fiery, so it'll be good to see. But I think we beat them. And then South Africa, obviously, are always competitive, but to me, they're nothing like they used to be about 10 years ago when they were the absolute force of the world. So I think they might be up there. They might surprise us, but yeah, I think it'll go us. Probably West Indies get us, but I think we get the other two quite easily.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so as you said, these are the teams at the moment. There's obviously two more positions open. So yeah, see what happens there. Jye, what do you have, mate?
Yeah, obviously we've got to watch the qualifiers. Australia would be hoping it's not Bangladesh with the recent matches that were played. But yeah, I think everyone agrees that the West Indies, they're going to be the team to beat, I reckon. They've got all the experience. We know what they can do. England, they played off in the final against the West Indies. 4 years ago? And they were very unlucky not to win it. I think the Windies needed 20 off the last over, and I can't remember his name for the life of me. That's the one, yeah. Hit Ben Stokes for 4 sixes. So they were unlucky. And then South Africa, yeah, I think we can beat them quite comfortably. Well, I hope anyway. But yeah, so the West Indies for me.
Yeah, it's always good to see Ben Stokes getting carded, so that's good. Awesome. Yeah, I completely agree with all you boys. The West Indies, though, I don't know, like you said about Chris Gale, and obviously his runs and his record speak for itself. But I mean, he didn't play too much of the IPL and whatever. But I don't know, obviously a different game, but similar sort of game. But we'll see what happens there. So do you reckon he will come in and fire, or I mean, how old is he now? Does anyone know? How old is his Speech?
He's 36, 37, I believe. Do not quote me on that.
40.
I reckon he's close to 40, yeah.
He's not doing much running, which will help us if he does play.
Oh, he is. He's 42. I apologise.
Oh, there you go.
We
know what he's going to do. He's going to go hard from the first ball. So
he doesn't run.
It's either going to come off or it won't.
I don't think he's going to run his life. He'll just go for the fence, first ball. All right, beautiful. So who are the key players for the Aussies to win the tournament? Who has to really fire in order for us to come out on top? Jack?
I think sort of stemming from last episode's discussion, I think Warner's probably the main X factor. Hasn't done anything IPL, got dropped. I think the big question mark over him and whether he can bat well. And as Jye said, I think in our first episode that, him batting well is, probably the number one thing between us winning or losing this tournament. So David Warner for me.
Awesome. Jye, what do you reckon, mate?
Yeah. As Jack said, he's hit the nail on the head. Like I covered off in the first episode, Dave Warner. He'll go a long way to us winning it if he makes runs at the top of the order. But I'll add another guy, I think, will be Mitchell Starc. We're going to need him to take wickets up front with the new ball. But I think his death overs at the back of the innings could be vital as well. So if Stark's up and firing and taking plenty of poles, then we'll give ourselves every chance as well.
Absolutely. Aiden?
Oh, I thought the number one was obvious. I'm surprised no one said it, and it's the big show, Glenn Maxwell. For me, I think, especially in 2020s, like you have multiple, but if you have one all-rounder that's as dominant as Glenn can be, it's just the most important thing. Like, talk about X Factor, he's got like spades of it. And if he's making runs for us, you've seen it. You've seen him win games, 2020 internationals for us on home soil, international soil. He loves that part of the world. He loves playing spin. He loves bowling. He's bowling really well even at the moment in the IPL. So if he's doing both, you know how good of a fielder he is. He wins games for us on his own almost. So I think he's an obvious number one for me. At two, I've got Stark as well, which my 11 will contradict. But as John said, I mean, the guy is only behind Glenn for me in terms of like game-winning X factor. Like you've seen it in the one-day World Cup when we won it in 15, like that ball to McCullum, like stuff like that he can do. But then, like I said off air, he can go for 40 or 45. So he really needs to play to his absolute best. And that's the same with Paddy Cummins. Best test bowler in the world. If he converts that and bowls with his real tight line, real quick sort of stuff, he's the same to me. So they're my ones. And then you'd even go for me as an extension to Adam Zampa in that part of the world. If he fires, then we'll be well set.
Yeah, awesome. So you've got, by the sounds of it, we haven't got to the best 11s yet, but Stark's not in by the sounds of it, but he's going to be key for us to win. Is he going to be running the drinks out quite fast? Or
well, for me, he's not in mine, but he gets picked because I know how the selectors pick Australian teams, and he's in there because they pick old fellas. And they'll pick him on his potential. He might let us down, but they'll keep him in there. But for me, he's not.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I agree. And as for me, who are the key players for us to win? I did have Maxwell as well. I think the Aussies love a good collapse. So I think where he comes in, he can just sort of steady the ship and get us over the line. Depending on whether we're batting first or not. And also, I think Mitchell Marsh. See how many games he plays, but he's in, I think, extremely good form coming off the back of the most recent tours we've done. I think he was a shining light in them, and quite dismal, especially the Bangladesh there. We didn't play too well, and I think he's played really well, even in I think Shield cricket as well, and the Marsh one day cup I think as well. He's done pretty well, but take from that what you will. But I think he's in great form, and I think it'd be good to see. All right, beautiful. Moving on to our best 11. I will stay out of this, but I'm pretty similar to Jack anyway. So just for the sake of time, I'll stay out. But we'll go to Jye first. What do you have for us, mate? Run us through it.
All righty. I think we're all the same with Finch and Warner, are we, at the top of the order? And then at number 3, I've gone Mitch Marsh. I think just based on the form that he's had recently, he played really well in those conditions for us. And I think he deserves to keep his spot at that position. So for me, I'm going Mitch Marsh first up at number 3. I've got Smith at 4. I was a bit iffy on that one. We don't have a lot of options at the moment. and I nearly left Smith out of the side. But for now, yeah, I think he bats at 4. He can bat at 3, we know that. So, yeah, bit of a question mark over that one. Maxwell at 5. I think Stoinis bats at 6. And then I've got a question mark with Matthew Wade in the side at the moment as the keeper. I think we just go with the experience first up. But then obviously, if he fails, then Josh Inglis gets his chance. Ashton Agar at 8. As your, I guess your, whatever you call him, spinning all-rounder, batting all-rounder, whatever you want to call him. Pat Cummins at 9. Starkey at 10. I have got Stark in the side there, Aiden. And then I finish off with Adam Zampa. So I think spin's going to play a part, obviously, in those conditions. So I think Agar and Zampa will play in the same side, and they'll use Maxwell as well at various stages.
Right. So correct me if I'm wrong, but 2 things on that. So I'll ask one question and also follows off. So Josh Hazelwood, was he not in there? Is that correct?
No.
No? Any reason for that?
Like I said, spin's going to play a big part in those conditions. I think Pat Cummins is the first choice quick, and then I just think Stark can be the key with the new ball and at the back end. So Hazelwood very unlucky, but yeah, that's just the way that I've looked at it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Would you look at opening with, you said Finch and Warner. Would you put Wade up there or not really, or would you risk it?
Not straight away. I think you start with Finch and Warner. Look, we know that they're the two. Like, that's the biggest opening partnership in world cricket if they get going. So let's hope for our sake it fires. But if not, then yeah, maybe changes need to be made.
Awesome. Well, love it, mate. That's good. All right. Aiden, we'll go to you next, mate.
I was going to say you might want to do mine last. Yours are all similar, but I'll go for it. So I picked mine as if I was picking it the way I would. And I think I made a few calls that might not be consistent with you fellas, but the one thing that gets us and has continually got us, especially in the recent series like the Bangladesh one, is batting and batting collapses. So I've picked a side with heaps of batting, and then I've tried to even up the bowling to match it as best I could, just because I don't want to see us collapse again. If we end up in a shootout where it's 200 versus 200, and I'd rather see that than us get bowled out for 80. So I'm opening with the captain, Aaron Finch. I think, like Jye said, if the bloke gets going, he can make 150, like we've seen, which is nuts. Opening with Finch, I did want a left-hand, right-hand, but I've gone with Steve Smith to open with Finch. Like I said in the first episode, the dude needs more time, because sometimes you see him come out at 4 and try and take 5 overs, and you can't do that in 2020. So if he goes out there at the start, you can obviously play the ball that's moving, you can play spin, and then that means he gets, a few more overs to get in there, find his groove. And I think it's a risk, but it can pay off. So I've got Smudge opening up with Finch. At 3, I've got Dave Warner. And I think 3 is the position where you're either coming out first over or sort of midway. And obviously, if he comes out the first over, he's an opener by trade anyway. If he comes out midway through, he can be aggressive and get us more runs on the board. And then my 4 and 5, I really wanted some guys that can dig in and make big innings to save us. And you want recent form in my eyes in the middle order. So I've got the big show at 4. I think that's his spot. I think he'll be there in 2020 cricket for Australia for years to come. And then I've got Mitch Marsh, the Bison, at 5. Not really much else to say there. He's in great form. I've got Josh Inglis at 6. I really like him. Obviously, I'm a Scorchers guy, and he's really impressed me the last few seasons. I've got the Stoin, pretty self-explanatory again. He can just come out and smack it, and at that position, that's what you need. And then I've got Wade after him. I guess between him and Inglis, who gets the gloves, I don't really mind. I've got Pat Cummins, Zampa, and Hazelwood. And like I said, Stark misses for me. I think he's just too hit and miss, especially at the moment. Hoff's taken heaps of wickets. And then I've got Agar sort of can be interchanged depending on whether the wicket is going to turn heaps or not. But yeah, that's mine for me. I think that's the way I picked it because I really wanted more batting in there. So just save maybe even in hope that we don't collapse. I would have loved, say, like I said, like a Travis Head or someone to be there for protection that I could put in instead of like English, because I think English is a bit underdone. But yeah, that's my 11 for the first game.
Great, awesome. Jack, what do you got, mate?
Yeah, so I have Finch and Warner as 1 and 2. I don't really like it. They're pretty stumped on options. I mean, I hope they can fire, as he has well said. They're very, very good when they fire, but I'm not sure how much longer we can go if they don't fire. Like Aiden said, I have Smith at 3. I had him there because, I mean, I'm fully expecting at least one of Finch or Warner to be out very, very early. So at least that gives Smith time to get into his innings. But if he didn't have that time, I wouldn't have him in the team. If he was down the order a little bit, he hasn't got a place in T20 cricket for mine. I have the big show with great formies at the moment at 4, Mitch Marsh at 5. And then for our keeper, I've Wade at 6. I just think Inglis a little bit too inexperienced at the moment, but Wade still a little bit of a question mark around his glove work these days. It's been a while since he's been a true keeper. And then because in the UAE, I've gone Agar at 7 for another spin option. Then into the bowlers, Cummins at 8. Kane Richardson, probably my Renegades bias a little bit in there at 9. He's one of the best death bowlers, I think, at least in the BBL. So I think he'll be good, especially instead of Mitchell Stark, who, as Aiden said, is very erratic at times. I think just that line of length with Camo will be really handy for us. Have Zamp at 10 and Hazelwood with his great IPL form rounding out the 11.
Awesome. Yeah, very good. Just a question with that. So has Wade been how much has Wade been keeping recently? Does anyone know any formats he's been keeping? So as far as I knew, he was giving up the gloves more or less to focus on the batting. So
yeah, I think that came from when he was in the test team.
Yeah.
And I think he sort of realised that I really need to focus on my batting, so I will give it up. And for me, I said it off air, he's too short to be a keeper for me. Like, especially in matches where you've got like guys like Stark and Cummins bowling, and there's a risk of having 4 wides every time you bowl short. But more to the point, I think for him to even give the gloves up for like the Hurricanes means that he just isn't maybe focusing on it or interested in keeping anymore. And he just wants to be a batsman. Like you see him open for the Canes from time to time. And yeah, like maybe he's more focused. But then again, like Speech has said, since he is more senior than Inglis, they probably will go for him. But is his keeping going to be up to it? Is the question.
You talk about him focusing more on his batting and the question marks over Finch and Warner. Can we put Wade at the top of the order, like Sam, you said to me? Can we have Wade at the top of the order and Inglis play at 7 or whatever as the keeper? I just had a look on paper. We've actually got options in the T20 side that can open the batting. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Inglis opens the batting for the Scorchers, and Marcus Stoinis opens at the Stars, and he scores bulk runs a lot of the time. So we've got options that can actually open the batting as well. What do you think?
Yeah, that's cool. So you're saying there could be a spot for? Did you say there could be a spot for Inglis and then also Wade to open as well?
Yeah, for both of them in the side. Yeah,
I agree. I had them both in mind. So
yeah,
awesome, sweet. So,
I mean, like I said, we need all the batting we can get. To be perfectly honest, the way we go.
All right, sweet. So we'll move on to just some predictions as well, what we see coming out of the tournament. We'll start off with top run scorer. Jye, who do you see being the top run scorer for the Aussies, mate?
Yeah, it was hard to go past the big show. I think Glenn Maxwell, with the form he's in at the moment, he'll score a lot of runs. And hopefully there'll be games where he'll get us over the line as well. So I think it'll be a big tournament from Glenn Maxwell.
Awesome. Jack, who do you have, mate?
Yeah, same. I got Big Show. He's just in that sweet spot, I reckon, at number 4, where he can either have a long time to bat or he can come in later and make a lot of quick runs at the same time. So I think he's prime, especially with the form he's in, to definitely be our leading run scorer.
Sweet. It seems to be following a bit of a vein here. Aiden, who do you have, mate?
Yeah, obviously you can't go past him. Glenn's a number 1. I think that just shows how much trust we have in the top 3 or the top 2. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it is Steve Smith. I just think, he just loves international competition. He's never been like he's just that weird sort of guy where he just gets himself up for when it's for Australia. He just goes, yep, and he'll bat all night in his room and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm still going to go with Glenn.
Yeah, I mean, I'll sort of hate Glenn, I guess, but I've got to mix it up a little bit. I'll go Mitch Marsh. I think he's in, really good form as well, and I think he can carry his form from Bangladesh and Windies and all over. And Mitch Marsh for me. That is also just to break it up a little bit, but I think he generally could be the top.
I do like that call, Sammy.
Thank you. Thanks, Jack. All right, going on to the bowlers now. The most wickets. I'll go with Aiden first. I'm tipping he's not going to say Mitch Stark, but we'll see what he goes with.
No, it's not. It's not going to be Mitch Stark. Going to be Adam Zampa. I think he's going to be a pretty much certain starter in all games. Conditions match him, and like I said, he's going to be massive because he's just been our short form spinner for so long now that he knows exactly what to do. And like Smudge, he's a bit of a weird fella, but he's really, really smart about his craft. And unless he gets injured, I think he's going to take poles in every match.
Yeah, so it's Dan Christian being called old last episode. Smudge is being called a weird fella. He's going after a new player every.
And I haven't been wrong.
Hasn't been wrong yet. I love it. Jye, who do you have, mate?
Yeah, I've gone the same as Aiden here, Adam Zampa. So I've gone Melbourne Stars biased a bit with the runs and the wickets. But, he just gets it done. Obviously, the conditions will suit him, but I don't even think that matters because he takes wickets regularly here in Australia as well. And he can come on at any stage. I think for the Stars, he's bowled during the batting power play that they have during the middle overs there. And that's a big responsibility for a spinner. So he's obviously quite talented and they have trust in what he can do. He knows what he's doing. He just gets it done. So Adam Zampa for me.
Beautiful. Well said, mate. Jack, who do you have?
I've gone the Hoff. I think he got plenty of wickets in the UAE in the IPL just now. So he's in great nick in the same conditions. So I think he's going to carry that over and be our main strike option this tournament.
Awesome. Yeah, he's in great form as well. I'll go Pat Cummins for mine just because there's an affiliation with the bloke. Love the bloke. Awesome. So moving on now to who we reckon will win the tournament. Jye, who do you see taking home the trophy, mate?
Oh, it's going to be tight. Obviously, like we said off the top, West Indies is going to be one of the main dangers, but I've got to go with India. I just think they're world class at T20 cricket. They've got really good bowlers. Their batters are just T20 just suits for some reason all their batsmen. And if Kohli gets going, then there's no bigger name in world cricket. So I think India probably take it out for mine. Oh, obviously hoping Australia do, but India.
Yeah, that's fair, mate. Jack, who do you have?
I would obviously love to see us win it. I just don't think we're at that level for T20 cricket. So I've gone for our good friends across the ditch over in New Zealand. I got them taking it out. I know it's a different format, but they were very, very wrong, hardly done by in the one-day World Cup. So I reckon there'll be a bit of a fire in the belly to come out in this one. And it might be a bit of a dark horse call, but I'm going Kiwis. Take it out.
Just got to make sure when they get to the final that they hit a lot of boundaries and hit more boundaries than the other team, and they'll be sweet. Aiden, who do you have, mate?
Yeah, I promise Jye and I didn't do our predictions together because I've got India as well. That's 3 for 3 for us. I think we're all the same. But yeah, I think it's just their part of the world. Places like that, they've just had the IPL. They've got, pick your talent, whoever you want that's performing in the IPL, they can grab them. And obviously they're led by Kohli, who's, like Jye said, it's just insane when he gets going. Like, he just brings his class in every format. They've got great spinners. They know the conditions, and they've been up there. They're always up there. Like, they know how to contend. They know, and I mean, they've just got talent in every position in the team. So I think they're going to be very competitive and they'll take it out. I think we can take it to them. I think we might beat them at some stage. But I think we could. But I think, yeah, they'll just be too good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we mentioned it quite a bit, but the IPL, I mean, I know a lot of, still a few international players that have played in that, but obviously, it's the Indian Premier League. They've all played in it. So they're coming off, that series where some of our players are coming off playing, Shields and Marsh Cups. I'm not sure if that'll, influence it at all. But no, in Australia, for me, I am known to be a bit go with the heart. So we'll go with the Aussies. But I don't know. I've got some big hitters there. Obviously, a few spinners as well. If it starts turning, and yeah, I just think Australia can get it done. But we'll wait and see what happens. Is there anything else we wanted to add, boys, or we're just about done?
Yeah, first match, I guess, for points is on Saturday night. So if you're wondering, we've got South Africa at 9 p.m. Australian Eastern, I think.
Yep.
Get around that and see the boys in action.
Yeah, it's going to be the hardest part, isn't it? I mean, that was 9 p.m. not too bad, but they're all pretty much double headers, I think. One 9 p.m. and the other one's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So do you reckon you boys going to catch too many of the 1 a.m. starts, or you'll be up for them?
That's my
I think there's only 2 of them.
Only 2 of them, is there?
Yeah, there's 2 1 a.m.s and 3 9 p.m.s, if I read correctly. So it's not too bad.
I'll try to tell you word for it. Well, 9 p.m. That's basically, and obviously play the same game. That's over by 1 a.m. So it's pretty easy, really, isn't it?
It's perfect time for WA viewers.
Yeah.
I just hope that if you switch it on at 1 a.m. that it's bloody worth it. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, awesome, boys. All right, so we will be releasing another episode in the next sort of few weeks after played a few matches and see where we go from there. Yeah, Jack, did you want to say anything about the social media, mate? Obviously, you're in charge of setting all that up, so I'll throw it to you and you can take the reins on that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, we're on Spotify for if you just wanted to listen to us instead of see our beautiful faces. So make sure to check out our Spotify as well. But then we're also on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. So get around all the socials. All the links will be in the description below as well.
Bang, there it is. And also shout out to Steve Miller, Jye's mate. Got to fix up this mate. Right. If Steve Miller wants to just send some tips through to Jye, we'll be sure to pass them on to him. But no, in all seriousness, thanks for the support. Yeah, it's been unreal. And yeah, anything else to add? What was that?
Thanks for sticking with us, guys.
Thanks, guys. And yeah, go the Aussies in the World Cup.
The Aussies.